Welcome to RELaunch, the real estate podcast focused on helping you find your success in real estate. My name is Lauren Cooper. I am an active real estate sales representative just north of Toronto, Canada. The whole purpose of this podcast is to bring you actionable content by interviewing the best of the best in this business, helping to take you from zero to hero in your real estate career. Hey, this is Lauren Cooper with another episode of RELaunch. That is Real Estate Launch with Drew MacIntosh. Hello, Drew. Welcome to the show.
Glad to be here, my man.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your business as it is today?
So Drew MacIntosh with North Group Real Estate. I am the expansion partner for Barrie and Aurelia, and we're operating in Barrie and Aurelia with Keller Williams experience. It's been a crazy last month and a bit with big changes, but I'm 4.5 years in the business. Got licensed March 2014, and now we're taking off like a rocket ship. So it's good.
Fantastic. So Barrie, Aurelia, that's all north of Toronto, about an hour and a half north of Toronto area, Toronto proper. For those that are elsewhere in North America and don't really know, if you have any referrals going in that direction, then send them Drew's way.
Yeah. We're without traffic, we're an hour and a half to Toronto from Aurelia. With traffic, we could be up to 3 hours, right? So.
Yeah, on those days where everyone's going up to the cottage.
That's it.
Fantastic. All right. So let's get started. Let's paint me a picture of kind of who you were before real estate. What were you doing and what led you to real estate as a career?
Oh, man, loaded question. Before real estate, I kind of did a little bit of everything. So out of high school, went to Royal Military College. Went there for 1 year, realized quickly that was not for me. Took a year off and then went to Georgian College to take golf degree program. That's what I was going to be, was a director of golf. Realized quickly that not a lot of money in golf.
Unless you're Tiger Woods or someone like that.
Exactly. So I realized I'd rather play golf. So flipped everything over to a business diploma for just business marketing. And then got a job right out of school in construction because it paid better than the jobs in marketing. Through there, worked as a mason for an apprenticeship, then got hired back to the company I was originally with as a junior site super. And then the big kind of aha was they asked me to move out to Edmonton. So Edmonton was just never in the cards for me. But so I jumped into real estate because I'd always wanted to, but never had the cojones to jump into sales. Commission only. It's scary. So during that 6-month time, it was pretty scary because we were getting married in September. So there wasn't a lot of extra money to save up for real estate. But luckily we did, we saved as much money as we possibly could, knowing that real estate would be a little bit scary at first. Jumped into real estate, March 2014. There was no teams in my area, so there was never an option to kind of start on a team. So I was kind of jump in the deep end and sink or swim. The day I got licensed was a Friday, and got a call from somebody saying, "I hear you got your license. I want you to list my house on Monday." And so I kind of got a little bit lucky, listed their house on Monday, double-ended it Thursday, and I was like, wow, this is easy, right?
And this, I'm assuming, was friends or family?
Yeah, it was my wife's cousin. They had my wife's cousin's friend, so they had their house listed with another agent. A little bit unlucky on timing. They had it listed kind of from December to March, so not the best time necessarily. But yeah, I went in there and they had done kind of just photos on their phone and pretty minimal stuff. So I said, you know what? Let me hire a photographer. Again, taking a chance on some. I'd never paid anyone. I had no money coming in, but let's just do it. And I put the property everywhere I could possibly think of. And we ended up finding the buyer through Kijiji, which has actually been the worst place ever to put properties for me in terms of lead generation or any kind of marketing. But it worked that time. And I was like, wow, this is easy, right? Like, I just made, a quick $7,000, or I think it was like by the time my commission split was paid out, it was $7,000. And I was like, well, why didn't I do this 4 years ago? And then all of a sudden you realize that doesn't happen every week, right?
Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately it doesn't. So I would say I kind of survived my first year. So, I did 13 deals my first year between April 1st and December. So I think I made $78,000 my first year. And so by the time I paid out, Century 21, who I was with at the time, and my marketing and all, I was probably making 50 something. So it's pretty good, right? And I had a way better life than I was like on the road in construction and stuff like that. So it was a win for me. I wanted to kind of come out the same as what I was making the year before, and I was making a little bit less, but I was home every night. So it was a huge win. The biggest thing I did though was in November of my first year is I took a Joshua Smith course. And I'm sure you know who Joshua Smith is, lots of podcasts, GSD mode. And it was a 12-week course. And it was like okay, now we have a little bit of a playbook to go off of.
How did you find him? Just through going through videos on YouTube or something?
Yeah, YouTube videos. It was not a lot of support for me. So it was a lot of go find out yourself. That's what you do. You're by yourself. So I would just Google things, and all of a sudden I was like, okay, let's go on YouTube and how do I run a Facebook ad? So I'd watch a video on Facebook ads, and then naturally YouTube will like link you to the next video down the rabbit hole. And I was watching Ben Osterveld, who's out in Edmonton, and then I was watching some of his videos, and all of a sudden I saw Joshua Smith. And I watched a couple of Joshua Smith's videos, and it was just like straight fire. Like it was, the information just coming out, just his energy, his intention, it was insane. So I was like, you know what? Jump in, invest in yourself, invest in your business, which was scary. I mean, to spend over $1,000 on a course that you don't know if there's going to be results, that's scary. But as a new agent, is one of the best things I did was took some training because we don't have it all figured out, right? And
some think we
do.
Not
a lot of people are willing to kind of share, as you know, but I think that's why I am so willing to share, is because no one shared with me. So I love sharing. I'm the most transparent person. You'll ask if you want to know how much money I make to the dollar. I have no problem sharing that. If you want to know what I do to run a Facebook ad, I'll tell you every single thing I do in my business. Because at the end of the day, most agents aren't going to do it. And if they do, awesome. And I'm just going to do it even better then, right? So I don't look at competition from a scarcity standpoint. I look at it as like, okay, it's time to level up and make ourselves even better.
So let's talk about that a little bit. When you first got in, you said you were in a Century 21 office in your area in Aurelia. So what was day one like for you other than that call? After that came and went, how did you generate any other business?
Open houses. So I did open houses for anyone and everyone. I didn't have any listings other than that first one. And because I'd watched a bunch of stuff on like YouTube, and I'd just jump in, be available. I did duty, and I was the first person to, like, any duty that came up, like I was on that like right away. So I was in the office. I felt there's a couple other agents that started around the same time as me, and they became very complacent very quickly. So I'm just going to work from home today. Well, I have nothing really going on in the office, so I'm going to stay home, or today I'm going to take a day off. Like, I wasn't going to take a day off for the first, year kind of thing. That was my mentality. If I had nothing going on in the office, I'm just going to go to the office and sit in kind of an open area and work and just listen to real estate going on around me. There's nothing more motivating than hearing everyone else busy and you're not busy. So I'm an office person. I love to be in the office. For me, there's too many distractions at home. So the big kind of lead generation things I was doing, open houses, definitely. And then I started kind of playing with Facebook a little bit and just kind of seeing what that was about. But in reality, it was open houses and then just calling as many people as I could to let them know that I was in real estate.
So these are people that you are already connected with in your social spheres and family and such, right?
Totally, yeah. And I mean, and just posting organically on Facebook. Obviously, things have changed a lot in Facebook world in the last, 4 years, even the last 4 months. But just being okay with letting people know, like, that you're doing this. People don't know what they don't know, right? So don't assume someone knows that you're in business. I had some of my best friends be like, when did you get into real estate? I'm like, about a year and a half ago, right? I'm like, okay, obviously I did a bad job telling you that I was in real estate. So yeah, just organically letting everyone know. It seems so simple, but people naturally want to help you, especially if they're in your sphere, right? So calling them and be like, hey, John, just wanted to let you know, I just got my real estate license. I'm really excited about helping all my clients out and building that database. If you have anyone, or you're thinking about anyone that, is looking to buy or sell, well, the script, right? So
right.
They naturally are like, oh my God, that's amazing. Definitely, if I have anyone, all you're doing is starting a conversation. The next time real estate comes up, they're probably already going to be thinking about you and be like, wow, my neighbor Drew just got his license. He's the nicest guy in the world. He's just amazing. He shovels my driveway sometimes. Whatever it is that you do for that person that you talk to, they want to help you get to the next level. I think also let other realtors in your office know that you're in this to do well. You're not just kind of in there as a floater. And they will call you, hey, my client wants to do an open house this weekend and I can't do one. Would you want to do one for them? Yeah, absolutely. Right. So be that kind of go-to person to just, don't say no to anything in the first year. And then eventually you have to say no to way more things than saying yes. Right. Because
once you realize what the opportunities actually are.
For sure, right? But I was just I had 4 or 5 people being like, hey, I want to we should partner up. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing yet, but it sounds sure, let's partner on something. I don't know. And then you end up kind of figuring out maybe that wasn't a good partnership, but there's no better way to learn than to fail. And I don't call it failing, but you fail forward, right? So as long as you're learning, you'll learn a lot more from your failures than you do your successes.
Definitely. A lot of takeaways there. Definitely one being you can't be successful as a secret agent. So you have to let everybody know that you're in the business. Fantastic.
Yeah, there's 3 things. They want to be able to, they got to know you, like you, trust you. Right? And they can't like you and trust you if they don't know you. So
that's a good start.
Don't be a secret agent. It is, right? So don't be a secret agent. Love it.
All right. So you're in there your first year. Do you remember how many transactions you did your first year?
13 in my first calendar, the April to December. So in 2014, I did 13.
Okay. And the year after?
The year after was 24, but my GCI more than doubled.
So that's some very steady growth there. What changed between year 1 to year 2?
A few things. So I left Century 21 in March of my second year. So at year 1 anniversary, I left. Nothing to do with Century 21 necessarily. It was kind of the agents that had all left at the same time. So we had Century 21 in Barrie was looking to buy the Aurelia one. So everyone left the Aurelia one to go to Barrie before it all happened. And I didn't want to be a follower, just kind of follow these top agents around. So I moved over to REMAX. Both brokerages were great to me. I have nothing but positive things to say about both, but REMAX just allowed me, there's more top producers there. So I was more comfortable in my own skin. So after a year, you just kind of, you get out there, you start, the Joshua Smith thing was definitely a big thing that took me from 13 to 24, because you got a little bit more systemized, a little bit more do this. I had a listing presentation. I didn't have that my first year. I just kind of went and hey, I'm Drew. Let's sell this, right?
So was it a whole system that you took from him? Was it a complete thing, or was it just his open house course? What was it?
So if I wasn't a super high eye and wanted to do everything and then did nothing, I would have taken his entire course and playbook and just moved forward, and I'd probably be the baddest agent in the world in terms of bad as in good, right? But I struggled with implementation, so I would grab 1 or 2 things here and there and kind of just plug them in. Open house strategy for sure. Scripts. I learned what a script was. I was so against scripts from day one because I didn't want to be a robot and just
right.
I'm a people person, right? Let's connect, and then from there we'll build a relationship. Whereas, you can just take the script for what it is. You maybe not say it exactly how it's written and make it your own, but I wasn't even willing to do that. So lots of those different things, scripts, open houses, having a listing presentation, having a buyer consultation, and just, like still willing to do whatever somebody wanted. And just listening to the right people more than everyone. So listening to less people more often than listening to everyone. So you find your tribe. And I had a few agents that I could just bounce ideas off. My brokers were phenomenal. Within 30 minutes, I'd have an answer on something. It wasn't like a 2 days later, your broker's getting back to you kind of idea.
Mm-hmm.
So 13 to 24, I think, but my GCI went from 78 to 163. So, I didn't double the transactions, but I went to a little bit of a higher price point. So.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So in terms of having other realtors to talk to, were they all within your office, or were they out there spread around? And how did you go about introducing yourself to them or making that connection?
Yeah, so I found like one or two in my office that I could kind of, cling to. But again, they were super willing to help out, but not willing to kind of give their secrets of the trade, right? So
right.
A little bit of an older demographic in our office, so they're a little bit more private in terms of like, no, this is my secret sauce. I can't tell you what it is, right? But going to real estate conventions or real estate training opportunities and finding people from different markets. I find a lot of people from different markets are more willing to share because they're not worried about, there's no scarcity there, right?
They don't feel as threatened.
For sure, right? So started kind of getting into Facebook groups online, like even just as like, as much as it's blown up, like a real estate hacks. I was in that when there was like 1,200, 1,300 members, and now there's like 17,000, right? But building that realtor to realtor referral base, because not everyone had an Aurelia guy. There wasn't a young Aurelia agent that people felt good about referring to. So I became that person. So lots of different little things, but again, you're still trying to figure out what works and what you enjoy. If you don't like open houses, you're never going to be a good open houser, right? If you don't like calling people on the phone, you're probably not going to be the best cold caller. So you got to find what works for you. And for me, it was kind of a triple down on what I'm good at and not necessarily work on the things I'm not good at. So, if you're like I'm trying to think of like a reference, but like if you're a basketball player and you are like the best dribbler, you have the best vision, you have the best this, you have the best that, but you can't really shoot, you got to work on shooting, but you got to like just get even, like just make yourself the best at that, right? Like Rajon Rondo, one of the best point guards in the NBA for a while, could not shoot a free throw to save his life or anything else. Do you think Shaquille O'Neal was ever a great free throw shooter? No, but he was like, I'm big, powerful, dominant, and I'm going to be the best at that and unstoppable on that.
So play to your strengths is really the key.
Yeah, I mean, triple down on your strengths and forget your weaknesses. So there's always time to work on your weaknesses, but we can get so caught up in trying to be, the best at 20 different things. I just wanted to be the best at like 2 or 3, right? And just kind of like hammer down, triple down on that. And it was amazing when you just lose that negative energy, right? So,
well, you start to see success, right? And then you get that positive feedback, and that just pushes you forward.
Absolutely. And I mean, there's nothing like positive reinforcement. Like when you get that back and when you see like the results coming, you want to do even more of that, right? So when I go to an open house and all of a sudden I start converting from open houses, I'm like, man, let's do like 7 open houses this weekend, right? So I'm not even going to make calls this week because that calls have been bad or whatever it is, right? So that was huge for me. It was kind of a mindset shift, right? You're trying to figure it out as a realtor. Like we're on an island a lot, right? Like we're by ourselves. We're self-employed. Every day you wake up, you're unemployed. You can wake up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon if you want to. You're not going to be successful probably, right? So
you won't be eating that week.
Right? And then I was talking to a couple agents this week that are 22 and 23 years old, both making well into the 500,000-600,000 GCI. It's insane, right? It makes me feel like an old person. So, but one guy is like 6 a.m. to like 4 p.m. is like his day. The other guy is like 2 p.m. to like midnight is his day. Like they're complete opposites, but you got to find what works for you, right? So
So you had mentioned open houses being a big part of it. What other pillars do you draw from for business?
So now, I mean, online leads has been huge. And the reason online leads have been huge is because no one else is in that space. So
in your area, you mean, in your market?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. So, you're looking at like a cost per lead for a buyer or seller in Toronto, GTA, even where you are, like Newmarket, Aurora. And then you start looking at it in Aurelia, and I'm like, okay, Aurelia, like everyone's cheap. They don't want to spend money. I'm like, I have no problem spending a little bit of money. I mean, 2017, I spent $5,000 on online leads, and that turned into 137 in commission. Like that's like a 27 times multiplier. It's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So if I told you like, hey, listen, you give me a check for $5,000, I'll give you one back for 137. You're going to make that deal every day.
Every day.
Every day, right? So when I saw that happen, I was like, wow, like that's pretty good. And I started looking at it, and I was like, I'm not even really doing a great job with the scripts or this or that. My conversion rate wasn't even good. It was like 1.6%.
Which is kind of industry average, like 1% to 2%, right?
Right, but all of a sudden, like I started like diving into like the scripts and like learning like the craft of the call and learning from all these people that were like killing it. And I went from like 1.6 to 2.4. Well, it doesn't sound like a big jump, but like that's 50% increase in conversion. So now that 130 can turn into like 210, like overnight. Like you're still spending the $5,000, so now you're like $5,000 can turn into 200. Like that's insane. So just kind of dialing it in, like getting fine tuned. And to be honest, a big change in that was starting with I hired an assistant. She could do a lot of those things that I didn't like to do, or B found really time consuming and took away from the money making activities, which is what we should be doing, right? So
let's dig into that for a second. When did you bring on the assistant?
February 2017. So I hired her in November 2016 when she was on another job coming back from a mat leave. When she came back from the mat leave, her job wasn't going to be there anymore. So we kind of had it in play for February. Now, I didn't know February 2017 was going to be an insane market like it was, or else I would have been like, no, you're starting in November. But she kind of came in right into the craziness of the spring 2017 market. If it was up to me, I probably would have hired an assistant, or hindsight, I should have hired an assistant a year before that, because again, you don't know what you don't know, but she allowed me to work less hours than I was, be home more I only had one kid at the time, but make more money. So I was like, her wage paid for itself times 3. So I was making more money. I was home more. I was happier, and I didn't have to do the things I didn't want to do. I was like, why did I not do this a year ago, right? So, like listening to somebody like Diane Mitchell. Diane Mitchell hired an assistant before her first deal, right? It's like, how did you have that like instinct,
that foresight?
That foresight to be like that? And like again, it's hard. It's hard to be responsible for somebody else's, their income, their livelihood. But it also makes you get up in the morning and go, right? So
this was a full-time assistant that came on right from the bat, so not part-time easing in, just full-time ready to rock. Now, how would you split that up in terms of the assistant's duties? How did that free you to then go ahead and produce more?
So I had no idea what I wanted her to do until I started talking to other agents, team leaders that had assistants. And Chuck Charlton said, Drew, write down every single thing you do. And so I was like, okay. So I wrote down everything every hat that I wore, essentially. It was like 65 hats, right? And I was like, okay, that's more than I thought it was, right? And then he said, go back and circle all the ones that you don't want to do. And then I circled all the ones I didn't want to do. And they were almost all, administrative. They were almost all non-real estate related. There was a few I didn't want to do, but as an agent, you got to do them, right? And like in a perfect world, I'm not doing that, right?
Right.
But, so when I brought her on, I didn't really have like a playbook for it, like, hey, here's your job, right? I said, listen, we're gonna figure this out together. All I know is like I'm committed to you, commit to me, and we're gonna figure this out. And I slowly kind of handed her things as they came up. So I didn't have a plan of like, okay, you're going to learn how to do this. You're going to learn how to do that. You're going to learn how to do this. It was like, hey, we're going to do an offer. Someone just called us. They want to put an offer in. Ready to do an offer? She's like, no. Like, what do you mean? I've never done an offer. I was like, perfect. We're going to do this together, right? So I'm a pretty patient person when it comes to that. So I wasn't like, I need this offer done in 10 minutes. And she's like, never done an offer. So take an hour, get that offer done. And once that offer is done, send it back to me. I'll take a look at it. And every time she sent it back to me, it was perfect because that was her disc profile. She was a super high C, which is, needs to be correct and creative, and everything has to be, like, the margins have to be the same, color coded on everything. Whereas I'm like, where's the Post-it note, right? I'm just throwing everything.
Just get it done somehow.
Get it done, right? So, which was taking a long time. But I was okay with that because I wasn't going to put pressure on her to be like, this needs to be done in 20 minutes. Like, yeah, in 3 months, we'll get this down to 20 minutes. But right now, if it takes an hour, I'm okay with that, right? Like, that's how I learn. You learn by doing, right? So
yeah. So how did you find your assistant in the first place?
Funny thing, I put on Facebook that I was going to be looking for an admin. And I had a few people message me about getting into real estate because they didn't want to be an assistant. And then one who was a friend of my wife's, but not close enough friend that if it didn't work out, there would be kind of like that awkwardness.
Yeah.
So she was an executive assistant for 5 years. She messaged me, told me her story. I said, you know what? I think it could be a great fit. We were talking about it, and then I put it on Indeed just to do that. During the first week that we had it on Indeed, I said, okay, let's do this, right? So what I thought I did is I thought I canceled the Indeed ad, which I didn't, but I canceled I flipped the email, so I didn't get any emails. I'm like, oh, okay, we're good. So I hired her. When she started in February, so I hired her in November. When she started in February, I had 347 resumes that I had not even looked at. The worst part was, like 15 of them, I knew who they were, and I didn't even like reply. Like, I felt like the biggest, oh man, what a jerk, right? So I had to go back through 347 emails, and like, you can weed out a ton of people just by the way they send an email.
Sure.
I had four that just forwarded me an email from another job application. Like, in the subject line, it was like FWD : Chevrolet administration position at the Buick dealer or whatever, right? I was like, what? I was like, please see attached. I'm like, okay, obviously we're not going to hire you, but yes, she was great. Really good at kind of taking on the things that, and we got along. It was somebody that I needed to be able to kind of, I have a car test. If I can hop in a car with you and drive to Ottawa and back, I feel like I can work with you. And if I don't see myself surviving a drive to Ottawa and back, then I struggle to employ you. Because you need to be able to like who you work with, right? And you need to be able to have fun and have some humility. Was there growing pains? Absolutely. Hired her in February, and in June we did a reno on our office, and our receipts got mistakenly thrown out. So we had 6 months of receipts that went in the garbage.
Amazing.
That was a tough one.
Yeah.
And she broke down, she cried, and I was just like, that's a tough one. I'm gonna go grab a coffee. You want coffee? And she's like, I don't know, like, if you want to fire me, fire. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna fire you. Like, it's an honest mistake, right? I mean, like, that's just, things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Could there be like worse things that happen? Yeah. Could there be less worse things? Yeah. Right. But
digitize it all now. Just get it all digital. Then you don't have to worry about it.
Exactly. But yeah, it was great. She's great. She's on mat leave right now. She really allowed me to kind of focus on building a team and starting the team. And that's when the team kind of started, was August of 17, or August of 16. I knew I wanted to do it, but I didn't really kind of start doing it until probably like July of 17. And then it was interesting starting the team.
Okay, so what was the motivation behind the idea of even starting a team, and then what was the experience of it? Because I know there were some interesting things that happened along the way.
Yeah, so the biggest motivator for starting a team was probably losing my mom. So my mom passed away August 10th, 2016, and when she passed, there was a lot of regret. And the regret was both on her, both on me, both on her dad. Like, just there's whenever someone's passing, you realize what's important. And I didn't want to be the father that was working 95 hours a week. I didn't want to have a heart attack because of how stressed I was. But I also knew that I had big goals and dreams for myself and my family, and I couldn't get there alone. So I started like getting busy enough that I was referring deals out to agents within my office, taking just a referral from it. But at the end of the day, that business is gone forever now. So, I call Lauren. I'm like, hey, listen, can you take this person out as a buyer? Pay me a referral. Like, you just do your thing. They buy, and then 3 years later, they're going to call you back, right? They're not calling me. And now that referral, maybe it's a lifetime referral, maybe it's a one-time referral, whatever that agent's kind of deal is. But I was like, no, how can I do this better? Like, how can I keep this in-house and have that client for life? Because I didn't want to give away clients.
Right.
I just wanted to leverage time, right? So you either have one or two things to leverage. It's usually time or money. And I had enough money that I didn't need to make a bunch of money, but I didn't have as much time. So I wanted more time. So I was leveraging somebody else's time to give them money. And then I made three agent hires in a matter of like 6 months, and 0 for 3. Yeah, it was a struggle.
Were they in succession? Like one, it didn't work out, another one didn't work out, or was it all at the same time?
In succession with breaks in between. Thought, let's step back and figure this out. And then, okay, we haven't figured it out. I'm like, no, we don't step back. And so the first one was somebody in my office, but that was basically that referral partner that I was sending deals to. And then I realized, why they were kind of stuck at a certain level. They didn't want to work that hard. They liked me giving them clients. Here you go, here's a client, pay me my 25% referral. And they're like, yeah, cool, done. I don't have to work for this one. So we want to buy a house today, right? So once it came down to, actually accountability, they weren't part of that.
Right.
The other one was replied to my admin ad instead of wanting to get into real estate. We met. She got her license. We nurtured her for the 8 months that she was getting her license. And during that time, her motivations changed from what she wanted to do. And then once she became an agent, she just didn't want to, I'm not used to having my weekends and evenings interrupted. Like, why did you get into real estate?
Yeah.
Right? So, I was hoping to do this and this for the next, kind of 3 weekends in a row. It's like, so you can't do any open houses. You can't do, we have a contract that says you're going to do these many open houses and this and that. And so then, again, took a big step back. And then, my third one, it was a cultural thing. And not cultural in terms of race, but just like the culture our cultures didn't align in terms of, she was a little bit negative. If nothing was perfect, then she really struggled. If someone was in the bathroom 10 minutes too long in the morning, her day was ruined because she couldn't kind of
wasn't the right fit.
Yeah, so culturally, I just wasn't a good fit. I mean, I'm a super positive person, no negative vibes. Like, we have signs all over, like, positive vibes only, very much Gary Vaynerchuk kind of stuff, right? Mm. And I didn't have time for it. She was an energy vampire, right? So, and it's hard to kind of pick that up sometimes in an interview until now, now all these things that I know about how to interview, what questions to ask, have totally changed, right? But, I've been great at my admins. My admins are both awesome, and the agents it's been a struggle. But we think we got it figured out now. We have a new agent starting with us on Thursday, and that's no longer the MacIntosh team, right? No more MacIntosh team. So
right, exactly. So let's get into that for a second. We're going to talk about this big change that happened. How did it all come about? How did the North Group thing happen?
Pretty organically. I mean, it's not like I kind of was searching for change or searching for anything. Amy Youngren, the founder of North Group, she's definitely always has her eye out for the next opportunity, but she definitely didn't have, Barry Aurelia necessarily on her radar. So I met her at the same conference I met you at, which was the Kathleen Black last year.
In Niagara Falls.
Yeah, Niagara Falls. So that's where I met Amy. So that's November 2017, right? it was the day after her world had kind of changed. Her business partner and her had split up the day before the conference. And she was just so authentic and so like just in the moment. And she had a million things going on, but she gave me the time. She looked right at me, and we talked, and we had a really good connection. And I'm pretty good at, when you find people you know and like, you kind of connect with them right away. You and I, same thing. Like, hey, listen, I don't care if you're Century 21, Remax, Royal LePage, Keller Williams. I really don't care. I just want my clients to be taken care of, right? So build that kind of referral network. And that's all I was kind of going there for, was to talk about, the building of a team in the first 24 months and network with other agents and all that kind of stuff, right? Share my story. So I met her. She's like, she sent me a message right after. Drew, so great to finally meet you. I've watched you on social media, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there going, Amy Younger watches me on social media? She's just like, in my mind, she's this huge, like, powerhouse social media person, which she is, don't get me wrong. But for her to, like, watch me, I was like, whoa, okay, like, maybe more people are watching than I think are watching, right? So
yeah, sometimes you don't always get that feedback right away with a like or whatever, but there are always people watching in the background and you don't realize it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then I started just like kind of jokingly message her, like, hey, if you ever expand to Barrie and Aurelia, we should chat. She's like, yeah, you never know, right? Like, we kind of just both played it off.
Sure.
And then forget what it was. She was doing some stuff, and one of the big things was Corey Harding Keys. So she was a partner that I had for referrals down in Mississauga, and she made the change to North Group. And
that's right.
Corey is somebody that I had a ton of respect for, and I knew that she was doing crazy numbers, like 750 kind of GCI numbers. I don't know exactly, but like big numbers, right? And she's been in the business 14 years and all these kind of things. And she made a change to North Group. And that really caught my attention, because I was like, okay, like, this person here who is doing way more business than I'm doing saw the value in leaving what she's been doing and grinding for the last 14 years to partner with this. So that really caught my attention, because there's a little bit of pride where when you have your name on something, right? Seeing your name on the sign, seeing your face on the sign, there's pride. And don't get me wrong, it feels good to, like, people acknowledge you, like, hey, yeah, you're that real estate agent, you're Drew, right? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I see your signs everywhere.
There's a little bit of that.
And so let's pick up right now where you are today. So you're a part of North Group, which is in Keller Williams, right? So you changed companies, you joined a team. So you're I guess, how would you describe it? A satellite?
Yeah, almost like a franchise. So yeah, I mean, like, it's expansion. So the expansion model would be that we have a hub in Toronto. So the hub is where our operations manager, transaction coordinator, marketing coordinator, all of that are based out of Toronto. So as real estate has gone so digital, you don't need as many people necessarily in-house. You can have them kind of remotely, right? So they're there 100% to back us up in every way possible. But in order for somebody to expand out of their market, they would need a kind of market expert and a team leader. So if Amy just wanted to, like, saw an opportunity for growth in Barrie and Aurelia, but didn't have anyone to kind of lead that, she's trying to lead that from Toronto, a bunch of agents in Barrie, Aurelia, and it's hard to lead remotely, right? So, so for me, it was like, okay, an opportunity my title, I guess, would be expansion partner for Barrie and Aurelia. So I'm part of North Group, which is based out of Toronto, like King and Spadina, like St. Clair West, King West. Corey's the expansion partner for North Group Mississauga.
Which is just west of Toronto, for those that don't know the area.
And then we have Desmond, who is the expansion partner for Brampton, which is just, I guess, northwest of Toronto. And then I'm the expansion partner for Barrie and Aurelia. So within an hour and a half, kind of in the GTA circle, there's 4 locations right now. But for me, yeah, it's just I've always rathered the assist than the goal. That's kind of the analogy I use. I'm a sports guy, so you're talking hockey. I'd rather be like kind of the Gretzky, even though he had a ton of goals, or I'd rather be the Sidney Crosby than the Alexander Ovechkin. I'm not the scorer. I like to score. I like to sell houses. I love that, but I love selling houses more for my clients than I do for myself. Football reference, Barry Sanders, every time he got a touchdown, you didn't see him celebrate because you got to act like you've been there before. But when another agent under me or somebody who I've empowered gets something done, man, I'm so jacked for them. I'm like, because I helped them get to a point that they never thought they could get to.
Right.
And that's Amy's mindset, is like, she wakes up and she's like, how can I make my expansion partners and my team better? And every day we wake up in our calendar and we write what we're grateful for every day. And it just puts you in the right mindset. So for me, I could see myself 5-7 years down the road not selling any houses, maybe, except for to, say friends, family, and people that are already in my sphere, but not looking for any kind of new business and just empowering others.
Just being in that leadership role, mentoring, training, assisting.
100%. Yeah. I mean, if I was going to make $1 million and work 120 hours a week, I mean, yeah, you have a lot of money and you can have a pretty good life, but like how successful are you really? That's not how I measure success, is in money, but time with my kids, the ability to kind of do what I want when I want. So instead of making $1 million, if I could make $200,000 and take that $800,000 and empower 16 people by putting $50,000 extra in their pocket that they couldn't get there without my leadership and North Group and our leadership, that's where I would call being successful.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic.
I don't need to make $1 million. I mean, I live in Aurelia. Our average priced home is less than $400,000. You can have an amazing life making less than $100,000. So why chase $1 million from a sales perspective? Let's just chase value, right? Chase adding value to people's life, and the success will come.
Absolutely. So let me ask you a question about coaching and systems. So when you first started, you were looking into Josh's programs. Yep. From there, you've gone into online leads. So let's maybe break it down to where is your business coming from now? Are you still doing open houses?
Yep.
And online leads as well.
Yeah, online leads is still big. Open houses are still doing a minimum 2 a month. Sometimes it's 3, depending on kind of how weekends line up, or some clients don't want open houses. We're just starting to farm. So we hadn't done any farming until we've partnered with North Group. And so door knocking will be implemented pretty soon. For us, it's not going to be traditional door knocking. There's, in the farm areas, it's going to be a little bit more of the just listed and just solds.
So circle prospecting farming.
Circle prospecting is going to be kind of a big one for us.
Are you Are you supplementing that with postcards?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're doing mailers, and you're going to be supplementing that with knocking on doors and that type of thing. So
yeah, the just listed and just solds. Physically, we're going to door knock the houses with the postcards, essentially. So the mailers, we're looking into, kind of partnering up with, Canada Post and stuff like that to do the mailers. But right now, every mailer we're hand delivering, because we're kind of isolating it right around the just listed and just solds.
So you're knocking on those doors, and you've got some sort of script that you're following.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So if we knocked on 100 doors, we might only have 30 that open, right? But the other 70, we're just kind of stuffing it in the weather stripping of their front door or whatever. Right. It's somewhere they're going to see it. Not putting it in their mailbox because it gets lost in the mail, right? So something that they physically have to take away. We're pretty careful with people that have the no solicitation. We obviously don't do that on those guys, but so circle prospecting definitely is huge. Open houses is big, online leads is big, and sign calls, all those things are providing more leads than we can handle sometimes. So it's been a great change. It's been a big change. We're kind of the guinea pigs a little bit with the expansion. As much as they'd done 2 other expansions before us, we were the first non-KW people to come to KW and partner with North Group.
Right.
We're also the first non-TREB, which is Toronto Real Estate Board. So we're the first non kind of board members to join. So there are some growing pains, absolutely, but we're all better for it, right? I mean, the systems that they have taken us to another level, and some of the things that we were doing that they never even considered has helped to take North Group to another level. So, that's a true win is when it's a win-win, right? So
absolutely fantastic. So that's where you're looking. That's your future now. I mean, this is very recent. What was it, a month ago that this was announced?
September 18th, my birthday. Yeah.
I remember leading up to it, I got a little bit of a sneak peek that this was coming, but I kept my lips sealed. So
that's right.
All right, fantastic. Now let me put you in a slightly different space. Let's say you have a friend or a nephew or a niece or somebody that's getting into the business somewhere else in North America.
Yep.
They don't know anybody. They've just moved there. What would you suggest to them from day one to grow their business gradually in year one and then into the future?
So it's the hardest thing is probably day one. What do I do? So my honest opinion would be to take a real estate course before you get your license.
You mean like outside training, not the course for the licensing?
Correct. Yes. So a Joshua Smith course, or whatever coach that you find, and you know what? And it truly does not matter. There's so much crossover in the coaching that they just have different spins on different things. But anything that will give you some kind of a game plan for day one, you are going to be leaps and bounds ahead of every other agent that is on a day one. Because for me on day one, I showed up and I sat down on my laptop and I was like,
now what?
Sweet, right? I am solely responsible for my income right now. And that's scary. So if I would have had, and again, it's scary to spend money before you even have a sniff of making money. But, spend $1,000 on a course that is going to be 12 weeks long. And then that at the end of the 12 weeks, you're doing your last test anyway. Don't worry about things like, I want to focus on getting my license first because I don't want to have these other things like cross over and screw up my testing. If you're going to pass your real estate test, you're going to pass your real estate test. I just think that if I had day one a game plan, man, like my first year would have been even better than it was. And I had a pretty good first year. Like, relatively speaking, the average agent does 6 deals a year or something like that.
Even less than the Toronto Real Estate Board.
Yeah, less than 6, right? So an average agent in their first year is probably 1 to 2 on average. I don't even know, to be honest. So to do 13, I was happy, but I know I could have done 25 if I would have taken a course before day one.
So what is the course going to give? The course is going to give you some sort of game plan, maybe put a business plan together with your goals in mind, break that down step by step, piece by piece, and find particular ways of generating and following through with that business?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, a business plan is a great place to start. I hadn't done a business plan until I was coaching with Kathleen Black. And that was the first time I'd done a business plan since college, because I never looked at my real estate as a business until I needed to, okay, no, this is my business, right? So I think that if you had a 20-year goal for where you wanted to be in 20 years, which is hard to think sometimes, but even a 10-year goal, 5, whatever the goal is, having those systems from a course gives you that breakdown of how to work backwards from that goal. So in 5 years, if I want to gross $1 million, okay, well, where do I need to be in 4 years then? And then so on, all the way back to, if I want to do that, how many calls do I need to make today? Right. So
right.
If I know that, if you know the conversion rates and that, how many calls leads to an appointment, how many appointments lead to a client, how many clients lead to, a sale, then you can kind of step back and be like, okay, this is easy. I know that I need to make 1 call every hour, every week. It's like, well, that's pretty easy. I can make a call an hour. That's no big deal. But when you start looking at, I need to make, 8 calls a day. Well, okay, 8 calls a day doesn't seem that bad, but it's like, okay, so in a 5-day week, I got to make 40 calls. At 40 calls, that number's starting to kind of creep up there.
Seems a bit overwhelming.
Yeah, now you're 220 calls a month. By the time you factor in the extra week, it's like, ooh, that's a big number. 220 calls or whatever it is. So all of a sudden, your time. I got to make 3,000 calls in a year. Like, that's a huge number, right? Like 3,000 is a massive, massive number. But when you break it down to 1 call an hour, you're like, oh yeah, I could do that. So I think a lot of us, we get overwhelmed with big numbers, big goals, big aspirations. But when you break it down to, if I make a call an hour, I'm going to make $1 million in 5 years. And it's that simple sometimes. And real estate is not easy, but it's simple. And we try and make it more complicated than it is. We try and reinvent the wheel. We try and find that one silver bullet of like success, that magic pill.
Yeah.
There just isn't a magic pill. I truly believe real estate is simple, but not easy. And, unfortunately, I'm 31. I'm in the millennial generation. My generation wants everything to be easy.
And right now.
Absolutely. Like, we want to make an impact, whatever that means. And we want to be able to do everything yesterday. So, okay, well, real estate and like everything that's worth doing, it's going to take time, right? There's no overnight success in real estate. Overnight success in real estate probably looks like somebody who's 5 years into the business and has grinded for 5 years and taken 2 days off in the last 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, I find that the key to real estate success, if you will, is consistent persistence, and that you're consistently persistent. You push through those times where it's a little bit frustrating, and you're consistent with your game plan, and you do what you need to do day in and day out, and then you will get where you need to be.
Absolutely. Gary Keller said, and I'm a KW now, but I'm not a rah Gary Keller kind of guy.
You only drank half the Kool-Aid, right?
That's right. Yeah, only the good Kool-Aid, not the bad stuff. But he said, make peace with boredom, right? And so that was a huge quote for me, because sometimes it is boring making a call every hour and doing the same things and
following that routine.
It is. I mean, there is routine, but every day is still going to be different in real estate.
Yep.
I have yet to have 2 days that are the exact same. But I've also yet to have 2 days where I wasn't kind of consistent, right? So consistent persistence is great. It's a great term. I like that. But yeah, make peace with boredom. Lots of little quotes like that. Success is lonely. So find people that, are in your tribe. When you're successful, you're going to have friends that are going to be envious and jealous and think that you're overpaid and not worth this and that's ridiculous and that. I have 2 friends that I can openly, like, this is how much money I made this year. And they're like, Drew, that's effing awesome, right? Like, keep killing it. Like, so proud, like, you're blah, 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 whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. Other people will be like, that's ridiculous. It's way too much money. You're overpaid. Okay, well, go get your license if you want, if you think it's that easy. But the average realtor makes like 40-something thousand, right? And then they got to pay out the splits, and like, you're making minimum wage.
No benefits, no guaranteed salary, and all that. Yeah, no.
Yeah. So it's just have realistic expectations, but I've always kind of been a shoot for the moon, or shoot for the stars, or whatever the term is.
Shoot for the stars, land on the moon.
Land on the moon, right? Yeah. So I've yet to hit my yearly goal. I've never hit my yearly goal ever.
And yet you keep going on that trajectory, right?
100%. My line is literally almost like a straight line on a 45-degree angle. Keep adding, 100,000+ to my bottom line almost every year, but it pushes you. For me, it pushes. Like when I get just shy of a goal, I had a broker say, "Well, hey, listen, like I can flip you a deal, and just so you can hit that number to get that next level on the awards." I'm like, no, I didn't earn that. I don't deserve that. I appreciate asking me, but no, we're gonna triple that next year, or we're gonna double, whatever it is, right? So finding. So for me, again, back to the original question, day one, I would have a plan in place with some kind of a coaching thing beforehand, and I would find 1 to 3 people that truly have your best interest at heart. And it might not be in your office, and it might not be your broker, it might not be in your city, but get into the social sphere, get into a podcast, get into whatever, and find somebody who you can legit have a conversation with that is going to be like, this is what I would do, or this is how I've done it, or whatever that is. And there's way more people than you believe out there that will help you.
Yeah, I found the same thing. You and I had a very similar path, and I reached out to several different people when I got into this business, and a lot of them were very welcoming and very open. I find it helps if you reach outside of your immediate area, definitely, as we touched on earlier. But that's a huge thing. And then you can take on this quasi sort of mentorship role with these people. Yep. And it helps guide you in the right path. So that's fantastic. Some great takeaways there, Drew. Anything you want to leave these fine people with in terms of mindset, success, maybe books to check out? Any last words of advice or wisdom?
I mean, I would say the books you talk about, I don't have any specific books. I would just say read. I try and read one a month, which is like, I know I could read one a week. But it's, for me, it's audiobooks, not hardcover books, but just always look to improve yourself. It's hard for us to spend money on a course to self-improve when we'd rather just spend money to get leads, but you can't lead others until you can lead yourself. So you need to invest in yourself to be the best you, because the best you is a pretty awesome person, right? So don't be anyone but you. If you like wearing 3-piece suits, wear your 3-piece suit, right? If you're a golf shirt and golf pants kind of guy, rock that. If you don't like dresses as a woman, don't wear a dress, because that shit shows, right? People
be authentic.
Be authentic. Be you. And when you can be your authentic self, it's amazing what's possible.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for taking the time, Drew. Really appreciate it, bud.
My pleasure, man.
Oh, wait, before we go, we've talked about it before, but where are you for people that are interested in sending you referrals?
So we are in Barrie and Orillia, again, just outside the GTA, just north of Toronto, and we handle all the surrounding areas. So kind of within a half-hour circle around Barrie, half-hour circle around Orillia. That's kind of as far, basically, like up to where you are, and that's basically like we're very big on realtor-to-realtor referrals. It's one of our bread and butters, because it's one of the best kind of the trusted sources, right? So we don't work out of our area. We refer everything out because we believe that, reciprocity will all come back to us, right? So
absolutely. And where can they get a hold of you? Where's the best place to find you?
So northgroup.com, and then through there they have all of our expansion locations. But if you just Google Drew MacIntosh, should hopefully pop up if I've done my Google stuff right. But yeah, northgroup.com or northgroupbarrie.com, they'll both come up. Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. So pretty easy to find.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Drew. Take care, man.
All right.
Hey, everybody out there in podcast land. I just wanted to say thank you so much. I truly appreciate you for your support and for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share this all over social media, and especially share it with a realtor that you know that might be having a difficult time finding their own path to success. I'll see you on the next episode.